Dear friends, some years ago, a young Jesuit priest, Father Richard Roos, decided to use his 40 days of Lent, making an 800-mile pilgrimage, walking from Santiago to San Francisco to study about the missionaries of that time. Like the early Christians, his aim was mainly to experience the goodness of the people, to express trust in God and faith in the people as he met them, and to experience what it is like to be a poor person. Father Roos walked day after day, despite body aches and blistering feet. After completing his pilgrimage, he wrote this: I felt the powerlessness of poverty. When you go to a door and ask for food and lodging, you find yourself feeling very humble. In short, Father Roos did not preach the gospel by words. He preached it by his presence, his example, and his faith. These days, there are many magazines that give us tips for travel, especially low-cost travel in Europe. Today's gospel teaching gives us the Lord's rules of travel on the road for a safe faith journey. They not only apply to the disciples, but it applies to every Christian in our times. There are 3 instructions of Jesus in the gospel that we all can take to heart. First, carrying the walking stick. Second, traveling 2 by 2. Third, shaking the dust from the unresponsive towns. First, the Lord tells his disciples to take no food, no carry-on bag, not even money with them. The one thing they were asked to take along was a walking stick. That Lord knew very well they needed something to lean on and to protect them. Our walking stick is the trust in God and God's providence, and that is very critical for our Christian life. We need to trust in God's will, and that is our walking stick, and that will help us and guide us wherever we go. The second part of Jesus' instruction is the sending out of his disciples 2 by 2. The Lord knows very well if they went out alone, they could reach many more towns and villages. But he sends them 2 by 2 because they needed mutual support. They needed companionship. They had a very big job to do, and to do it well, they needed teamwork. The church needs all of us, not only priests, nuns, and bishops, for the various ministries. We all need friends, associates, and lay leaders, and that is called the lay apostolate. The third instruction to the disciples from the Lord is to shake the dust off their feet in a town that will not listen to them. The message here for us all is not to be paralyzed, not to be discouraged by any failure or rejection that we may face in our journey. Nobody has total or 100% success in their missionary work. We must do the best we can and leave the rest to God and then move on. There are other towns and cities and people waiting to hear the good news and Christ's message. Jesus also tells them to travel lightly, without any extra securities for the future. Here, Jesus wants his disciples not to be attached to the material things for their physical, psychological, or emotional needs. They must not be distracted by the anxieties and worries about these material things in their life. Rather, these instructions mean the disciples must be dependent on God and focus on their mission. They also need to rely on the hospitality of the people, as Jesus himself depended on the people to provide for his needs. Dear friends, we may not be called to become a missionary in a foreign land, but each of us is called to not only to be a disciple, but also to be an apostle. As disciples, we are called to imitate and follow Jesus. But as apostles, we are to evangelize the world. And so Jesus still continues to send us into this world, just like the apostles he sent. The word apostle means the one who is sent. But like the apostles, we are not sent alone. Rather, Jesus has given us a community, the Christian community and the church. Therefore, let us accept the Lord's invitation to share the gift of faith we have received and to become partners in God's mission on earth. I like to close with a brief quote from St. Francis of Assisi when he spoke about evangelization. St. Francis said, "Preach the gospel at all times and use words when necessary." Let me say that again. Preach the gospel at all times and use words only when necessary.